Hello, my name's Holly Mackay. I'm Managing Director of the Platforum. I'm joined today by Trevor Matthews, who's Executive Director for Developed Markets at Aviva. Trevor, hi, thank you for speaking with me.
It's a delight, thank you. Good day.
Good day to you.
That's right.
Well, we first met in about 2004. We'd both
right.
fallen off the boat from Australia.
Yeah.
You'd come back to be CEO of Standard Life.
That's right.
Since then, you've been Chief Executive Officer at Friends Life.
That's right.
And now Executive Director and chairing the UK board at Aviva.
Right. That's right.
So you're arguably sort of better equipped than most to comment on the state of the life companies in the UK market at the moment.
Yep.
Since 2004, I've done the rounds of the conferences, so have you.
Yep.
You can't move but for consultants telling you that the life sector is dead.
Yes. Well, I think
that's what they'll say.
Of course, they would say that. I mean, I would say, in Mark Twain words, you know, the death is largely exaggerated. I mean, I think it's true that life companies are changing, metamorphosing quite dramatically. And you know, when I arrived in 2004, I couldn't understand why the platform business hadn't taken off here like it had in Australia, where you and I were familiar with. You know, delighted to see the rise of the platforms. I think it makes a lot of sense, but that doesn't mean that life companies are dead. Life companies have got some very important roles to fulfil and will continue to do so.
Okay, yeah. And then so moving forward for Aviva, how important is the platform? Because those that do say that life companies are dead will say that there's a future for you selling general insurance, there's a future selling kind of commoditized tax wrapper products, but how important for you is a platform in your future strategy?
Well, I think platforms are important. I think on the investment side of the ledger, of course, you know, life companies sell life, most of us anyway, sell life insurance and risk mitigation, annuities, equity release, all that sort of stuff, and good old-fashioned term insurance. So that's really very, very important for us going forward. We're all seeing the sort of run-off of the old books of the endowments and that sort of thing. That's happening right around the world. It's not just happening in the UK. And the challenge is to put other business on the books. Now, I think platforms have a very good place to play. I think they make a lot of sense from the customer's point of view. They can make a lot of sense from the advisor's point of view, and they can make sense from the life company or the other, whoever the owner is, point of view, provided you get sufficient funds on the platform. But it's not easy, and that's where I think life companies, with their backing and their strength, they'll be in this game for the long run. They can actually make it work. This company's had a bit of trouble as it's gone through that process, and only now is getting established in this market.
Okay. But in terms of the investment, Trevor, I mean, when you're chairing the board meetings, you understand platforms. You've come from a market where they were embedded. But if you think about it from someone sitting on the board who's coming to this new, there's, as at March, the 777, nice neat number, million on the platform. The press have rumoured that more than 100 million has been spent on getting this beast up and running. A large number has been spent.
Sure.
In terms of the return on investment, I mean, the trajectory, it's a very long-term game. It must be difficult to continue to get buy-in for this.
Not at all. I mean, what's done is done. And certainly at this company, they spent a lot of money, a whole lot of different histories and all that sort of thing. What we've got to now is, I think, a very good position. We've got the benefit of coming in, you know, well behind some of the front runners. We know what we're doing. We're not trying to be all things to all men. We have a pretty, and women, we've got a pretty simple proposition. We're not targeting the very high net worth. We know what we're doing, and we believe that by working steadily we can accumulate funds on the platform that will make it make sense. The other thing to remember here is, of course, this is a big life company with a big in-force book, and there's a retention issue here as well. We've got about 55 billion of in-force investment business, and I'm quite excited here, the imagination of the people here, to open up that whole back book to the platform type approach. I think that gives us a real opportunity going forward. So there's a lot at stake here, and we're very serious about it.
Okay, because I was sort of wondering for life companies as well, what is the platform? And it's that point. Do you see it? Do you think in the future, Trevor, the platform will actually be a bit of a cost centre, and it's a necessary spend for you guys to have the shelf to sell your products on?
No, I don't. No, I think it has to make money in its own right. You have to be able to convince yourself that in due course you're going to make money in its own right. And I think there will be, I don't know how many platforms do you think we've got, 26 or 27?
Advisor platforms 28.
28, okay. I mean, there won't be 28 platform in a decade's time, I can guarantee that. There won't be 28 platforms probably in 5 years' time. There might be in 3 years' time. You know, it'll be interesting to see how this moves. But you know, you need players who are committed, who are going to go here for the long run, and that's certainly the case. Aviva would not have come back into this platform market after the bloody nose that it's had in the past, unless it was convinced that this actually makes sense. So we're looking forward to being there, you know, because the power of the platform is very, very strong.
Okay. You've mentioned longevity, and you've mentioned, I guess that's something in the favour of you guys. When you think about, if you put yourself into the shoes of an advisor who's being approached, being courted by 28 platforms, and they're going, which one do I pick? Kind of, okay, life companies, tick big brand, tick big support. But there's history, isn't there, with IFAs, and not all of them, because they've been customers for a long time, there are mixed feelings about dealing with life cos.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the market's the market, and people should do what they want to do. What I'm saying is that this company, Aviva, is keen to develop a platform that makes sense for a subset of the total universe. We're not trying to be all things to all men. I mean, what's really interesting, since you and I first got involved in this, I think up front, a lot of people were saying, including me, maybe you can get away with just having one platform. Well, that's clearly not the case. That's clearly been shown that's not going to work. The regulators, the consumer people, everybody is now agreeing that. And in fact, if you look back to Australia, which I continue to do, and no doubt you do, you'll find there that the average advisor has a number of platforms. So we don't want to take over the world. We don't want to dominate and be the only platform, but we do believe we can build a meaningful, valuable business that makes sense from customers and advisors' point of view, and that we can make some money out of in the medium to longer term.
Okay. And Trevor, if we can touch on the corporate platform market, I mean, there's sort of mixed feelings out there. I think there's a lot of people who think it's all hype, it's all the next sort of bandwagon. But you were at Friends Life when that work for the corporate platform was ongoing. What are the plans at Aviva? And
well, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, when I was at Standard Life, right up front, we started to talk about the corporate platform. It's taken a lot longer for that to come into being than any of us thought. Friends have just launched a platform which looks pretty good. Of course, I was involved in that. We're very keen to do the same sort of thing here at Aviva. We think it does make sense. I mean, I think none of us can predict exactly what's going to happen in the future now. The withdrawal of advice to some segments of the population with RDR, the workplace should be a place where we can get some traction using behavioural economics, using new technology. But you know, we are interested in the whole platform idea in the workplace as well as individual.
Okay. And what about the direct market? There are always those who are afraid that the bigger brands with bigger customer books are going to do the dirty on them post RDR.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've got no interest in that whatsoever. I mean, dealing direct is not an interest, it's quite a difficult thing to do, to get people to get involved and that interested to deal direct. We have no interest in cutting out advisors at all. We have some direct clients, of course, as you would expect. I mean, we have, I don't know, a couple of million direct clients as a result of what's, our history in the past. So maybe we make it available to them one day. But absolutely no plans to do that at the moment. We will get much more bang for our buck in the short term by continuing to embellish the platform that we've got, by having good relationships and trying to encourage people to rely on us for part of their platform war chest.
Okay. So Trevor, I don't know if you're a betting man, or if you would tell me, but as it stands at the moment, we've got about 80 billion in the direct-to-consumer platform market, pushing 200 billion in the advisor market, and corporate platforms, I mean, the new platforms still totally in their infancy.
Yeah, that's right.
5 years down the track, where do you think
I think the advisor market will continue to grow very strongly. I think if we'd have predicted, and some of us did, that we'd have a couple of 100 billion on the advisor platform within a few years, people would not necessarily have believed that. So these things, will get more and more momentum like they have down under, and I think that's very, very positive. There will be a place for direct, there will be a place for the corporate. I think that's a longer term game there. I mean, in the corporate space, pensions will be the main game. But we've seen ISAs now, more money going into ISAs than is going into pensions. So there's a lot of things going on. I mean, a company like Aviva, we've got the spread, we've got the depth, we've got the resources, we've got the brand. We want to play in those parts of the market where we think we can add real value and make some money.
Okay. And in the savings and investment space, do you think that eventually everything will be sold on platform?
I think that's certainly the way that it's heading. It just makes a lot of sense from the customer's point of view. Yeah.
Okay. Kind of final question, not such a controversial question, I don't think.
Yes.
I follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
And you follow Shane Warne.
I do.
Now, since he met Liz Hurley,
Yes.
he started dyeing his hair,
Yes.
wearing fake tan,
Yes.
and wearing sarongs.
And lost a lot of weight. Yes, that's right.
What do you think of the new image?
I think it's pretty good. I mean, he's somebody we all idolise. He's a bit of a larrikin, as we say, down under, but he's got an interesting track record and history. But he was a magic cricketer in his day, and he's a big personality. I used to live just around the corner from him in Melbourne, so I would see him every now and again in the coffee shops, and he's come a long way from then.
Yeah.
No, he's a champion.
Okay.
Yeah. And we are going to win the Ashes.
Well, I was going to come to that. You've got two boys, Trevor,
I have.
12 and 11-year-olds.
That's right.
Who do they support in the cricket?
Poor little things. Australia, definitely. They've been brainwashed by. They're now. One of them's Canadian and Australian. The other one's just Australian, but they're now also British. We've gone through that process, but they definitely support Australia. They're working hard. In fact, at the citizenship ceremony, the officiator said to the 10-year-old, "Okay, that's all gone very well." And as we got the naturalisation and the British passports and so on, which countries are you going to represent at sport? I thought, my goodness me, this might ruin the whole thing. Yeah. What's going to happen here? Anyway, quick as a flash, David said, "Oh, that's pretty simple. Football, England. Cricket, Australia." So I think he's going to be a diplomat.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And Trevor, just a sort of final comment for any advisors watching this who are sitting there looking at the 28 platforms, weighing it up. Yeah. What sort of advisors should be considering Aviva?
Well, it depends on their portfolio, and their aspirations and all that thing. But I think, we're a good second platform, I think, for a lot of advisors. We're not trying to span the whole waterfront. We've got this middle market offering good, solid, reliable stuff. We haven't got all the frills that some of the others have. Fair enough. We'll continue to embellish what we've got. We'll continue to improve what we've got, because that's a very important part of this whole platform landscape. But we will give good value. We're not, I wouldn't say cheap, but we're certainly good value, and we're there for the long run. So I think they can be confident they deal with us. They'll get a good deal.
All right. Well, thank you, Trevor. It's really nice
to
see you again.
No, good
Cheers.
on you. Keep up the good work with what you're doing. I'm a great and passionate supporter of the whole cause.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for joining me, Trevor Matthews.